module of digital signal processing, and today I am going to discuss topic linear convolution in the part of the DSP. So this is the DSP. So topic which we are going to study is the linear convolution basically. Right. So it is going to describe the relationship between two sequences, and two sequences we are going to consider in terms of the discrete domain, discrete signal. And this is next sequence x2n, this again the discrete signal, and x3n, which is the linear convolution sequence after convolution. These are the representations. Then how we are going to define the linear convolution for the two sample signals, right? So this is the formula, that's how we used to give x3 n, and the symbolically we represent x1n, right? And this is the symbol for the linear convolution, and this is the x2n. In the digital signal processing, whenever we are going to work upon the discrete sequences, so there is a relationship we need to find out for the convolution part, how these two signals, arbitrary signals, are related to each other. So this is the representation for the linear convolution. If we represent in terms of formula, so then we come across this point. Is this discrete signal? We come from this, let's say m is the third variable we are considering. So this is the x1m and x2n minus m. So this is the formula used for the linear convolution computation. So for so m is the variable, and if we compute this summation part, so overall value will come into the form of the n, and final resultant in the form of the n. So that is how we describe the linear convolution relationship. So basically two signals occupy how much area if we keep one signal at a constant and another will vary. So how these two signals multiplication will produce what is the value of the required convolving signals, right? So the area bounded by these two signals in terms of continuous domain, we used to describe this. So this is, and if we say this is having length n1, next is length n2. So how many points linear convolution is going to have? So this is basically we are going to discuss this part. So the point will come as x3n. This is going to have n1 plus n2 minus 1. These are the number of discrete points available in the convolved signals, right? So this is the one method. If we talk about the computation, let's consider the two examples. This is x1n, and suppose I am describing this as a 1 2 1 2. This is one sequence. Next is the x2n. If we are taking this as a value 1 2 3 4. So how many points? This side we have a n1 is equal to 4 points. This side n2 is equal to also 4 points. So what will be the final number of points in the linear convolution output? So x3n, as per our definition, x3n is going to give you the n1 plus n2 minus 1. So this is going to be 4 plus 4 minus 1, and this is going to be 7. So total outcome of these two sequences, so I am mentioning as example, right? So what will be these 7 points? So we'll apply this formula, and we are representing this formula in terms of the matrix, right? In terms of the matrix we are going to represent. So in one side we will represent the x1n, another side we will represent x2n, right? And x1n is 1, 2, 1, 2, and x2n is going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. So just now we have arranged the computation. So we are computing the linear convolution. This is the computation. Computation of linear convolution. So we'll multiply. This first term we'll multiply 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll multiply by 2. So 2 will be multiplied to this sequence. So 1 is 2, then 4, and then 6 and 8. Similarly we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Another is the 2, 4, 6, 8. So we have multiplied these sequences individually to these terms. Now we are going to represent x3n. What will be the x3n points? Now how do we compute that? So diagonally we'll take the values. This is 1. So first point is 1. Next point is 2 plus 2. So diagonally we will combine all these points and then we add, and then we are going to represent in the final representation for the linear convolution output. So it is the computation only. So 2 plus 2, 4. Next 1, 4, 3. So what is the addition of these points? So when we are saying we are adding these points, that means we are solving this part. We are multiplying these points, so we have taken these two notations. So we have just implemented this formula in terms of these representation. Right? This is also called the matrix computation. If we place the value of small n and small n, then this is the traditional way of computing the linear convolution. If we talk about the matrix representation, so we have just directly mapped this formula into a matrix form, right? And we have collected all the sequence points, and then we are multiplying each points, and then we are combining. That's how we are doing, right? So this addition we are following with the addition of the formula given by this sequence. So next point is 4, 3, 7 plus 1, 8. Next is the diagonally we will count all these 4 values. So 2 to 4, 6, then it comes as a 14. And this is going to be 47, 7, 8, 50. Next point is 50. And next point is 6, 4, 10. And the last point is 8. So how many points we are getting? 1, 4, 8, 14, 15, 10, 8. Right? So this is the computation for the linear convolution. How many points? If we count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And initially by the formula we have given the 7 will be the output. So we have directly computed the linear convolution using the matrix method. If we talk about the analytical, so we will apply the values over here, and we are aware that the final value of n will move from 0 to 6, then total count to n is equal to 7. So we will apply the n equals to 0, n equals to 1 up to the 6 value, right? So 0 to 6 means total 7 values will come, and we will get the same values as we have received with the help of this method, right? So this is the one way of doing the computation of the linear convolution of two sequences, right? So if we'll take the same example and we'll come to the matrix method, we'll come to the matrix method for the computation. For the computation of the convolution, another convolution type is circular convolution type. So we'll also take the circular convolution for these two sequences. So initially we'll define the formula first and then we'll compute. That's how we are going to do. So this linear convolution is done. Now I'm just making the next convolution. So the representation. I should also keep this. So here linear convolution output is fixed, right? Linear convolution output is fixed. So I am making the changes circular. This is the circular convolution, right? So x1 and x2n having length n2, but this time it is not required to be n1 and n2. It has to be n, right? Equal. Luckily we have taken the example of equal length, but here we count as n1 and n2, two sequences having different or same length of the sequence, and for the circular convolution we must have the same length n, not n1 and n2. And what will be the final point of the convolution? Only n. So there is no formula for that, right? So this is discrete signal x2, say discrete signal x3 after the convolution of the sequence, whatever the convolution we are going to apply, right? And this x3n, the circular convolution representation gets changed like this. This is for the circular convolution. Let me also mention this, the change to this formula, right? So you can count this as a minus if this is the variable, not an issue. x1m, and this is going to be x2 n minus m, and we are going to represent like this n. So there is a bounded of these values, n values, right? So this is the formula. Right? At the final sequence, there is no point of such values in here. So this is going to be only length n. N length of sequence will be at the output. So initially when we are saying the no n1 n2, only n. So that means if two sequences are not equal in length, we will make equal in length by appending zeros, right? And we'll make it to the length whatever is the maximum among twos. For example, if we take x1n is equal to, right, two values 1, 2, 3. This is one sequence. x2n, let's take the 1, 2, 4, 8, 5. This is having 3, this is having 5 terms, right? So 3 and 5 terms. So minimum n which can be computed is 5. How do we make the length 5? So we initially put the two zeros so that length will get equal. So in this case n equals to 5. In this case n equals to 5. So 5 will be placed to this value, right? And for the n equals to 5 we will compute the rest of the part, right? So we will also look at the portion. This is the formula we have just given. Now the calculation will get changed. And this time this is not n1 and n2. The same example we will consider and we will apply this formula, right? So this is what we are going to do. Okay. So these two sequences of the same length, right? n1 4, n2 4. That means the n1 on n. This is having the same meaning. And we apply this formula in the matrix form. In the matrix form. So shifting means what? And the formula will be given as the method. Whenever we are going to solve this, so this is having this function can be represented as, we can write down this n minus m plus n. So this is the boundation. This is called as the circular shift. So whenever we are saying this segment is the circular shift, right? Earlier it was shifting, so points are moving beyond the limit as well, right? In this case the point has to be in a circle form. They will be repeating after a certain time. That's why the capital N is representing in the suffix form. So it is showing the bounded value. So whenever you are going to shift the circular sequences, so you are going to represent this term as the circular shifted version of the x to n, right? So this is what we have represented over here. Okay. So here n is equal to 4. N is equal to 4 circular convolution. We are computing circular convolution. Right? So formula for the matrix method, it is given as, I am writing matrix method for the circular convolution. So x3 n, it is in the matrix form. It is represented by x1n, right? The matrix. This is the matrix which is going to be this is going to be 4:1, this is going to be 4:4, and this x2n, this is going to be matrix x2n 4:1, right? So you can replace this. x2n can be here, x1n can be here, no issue with that. So how do we represent basically? So look at that. So x1n is 1 2 1 2. So I am writing 1 2 1 2. Right? That's all. And I am shifting this. So this bottom value will come at the top. 1 2 1. Again I am shifting 1 2 1 2. So again I am shifting 2 1 2 1 2 1. So I have shifted 4 times. I have shifted the 3 times. One is the normal sequence when I have replaced 2. Next shifting 1. Next shifting 2. If I again shift, so that will be equal to my first shift. So it will be repetition of this. Initially we have a repetition in the sequence as well. So 1 2 1 2, but we will count these 4 values and we are moving 1 to 1 1 1 shifting. Right? So that's how we have constructed 4:1 matrix, 4:4 matrix. And what is the value for x2n? 1 2 3 4. 4:1. And we are aware the final value will come in terms of 4:1. So x 3 n in terms of matrix. This is the n, 4:1 matrix. So we will multiply this. So whenever we are going to multiply, let's look at the multiplication part. So this is 1 plus 2 into 4. This is 3 plus 4. Next part we are going to look at. This is 2 plus 2 plus 6 plus 4. Right? And then similarly this 0.1 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4. And 2 plus 6 plus 4. So 4 points are coming. So now add them and give the values. So whatever value we are getting, if we add them, so this is 12, another is 2 2 6 6 6 12 16, and then next we are having 4 3 7 7 5 12, and the next part we are having is 6 14. Right? Next part is having 14. Right? So these are the values we are getting for n equals to 4. N equals to 4. x3n is, which is a circular convolution, is given as 12, 16, 12, 14. Let's check once. The 1, 2, 2, 4, 3 and 4 to the 8. The mistake I did. This is not the 4, this is 8. Same mistake I have done over here. 8. So I am going to correct this. So this is going to be 16. Right? And the same mistake will also be there. Second 2, and this is 2, 3 to the 6, plus 4. So this is 10, 14, yeah. This is the 14. So 16, 14, and the next is the 16, 14. Yeah, similar. 16, 14 and 16, 14. Yeah, this is the right answer. 16, this is the 14, this is the 16, and this is the 14. This is the answer. N equals to 4. I can find these values with the help of the linear convolution as well. So this is the relationship I am going to match with the linear convolution and the circular convolution. So just now we have learned how to compute the linear convolution and how to compute the circular convolution, right? So circular convolution, one example, same example we are taking. We have computed in terms of matrix form. We have multiplied, shifted versus circular shifting we have done with this matrix, and then we have computed, and 16, 14, 16, 14 we are getting, right? So x3n is getting, we are getting 16, 14, 16, 14. And what about the linear convolution output? If I write down over here, x3n, linear convolution output, what was the value? 1, 4, 8, 15, 15 or 14, 14, and then 15, 10, 8, right? If I will fix the 4 values like this, and I place these values like this, 15, 10 and 8, right? So now new values will come as, so I'll get the new values as, I'll add them 16, this is the 14, this is the 16 and this is the 14. So if I will do this much process to the linear convolution, then I will receive the circular convolution output. Circular convolution output for n is equal to 4. So even with the help of the linear convolution, we can compute the circular convolution for the n values whatever we take. So we have taken for n equals to 4, linear convolution we have received for n equals to 7. So we have converted 7 points into 4. By keeping the initial 4 values as a fix, I am just taking the rest of the points value down to it and adding the respective term, and we are getting the answer same what we have computed over here, x3a, right? So we can match this. Even if we take circular convolution for the same example, n equals to 7, so we'll append 3 zeros, to these points like this. So we'll convert the length into 7 and then we'll compute the circular convolution. We will receive the same linear convolution. So with the help of the circular convolution, we can compute the linear convolution as well, right? So these are the topics. So linear convolution done, circular convolution computation with the help of the matrix method, and the relationship between the circular and the linear convolution we have done, right? So thank you for today. So we will join in the next session with the next topic. Thanks so much.